Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be talking about power supplies. Now, generally speaking, not overly exciting thing to talk about. You know, all PCs have them, nothing special. But this one in front of me today isn't any old power supply. This is the Revolt X, which can power two systems. Now you might think, why would you need to power two PCs in the first place? A lot of people that do content creation or streamers will actually prefer to use two PCs, as you can stream off one and then game on the other, which means you have like no impact on the FPS or anything like that, so you can have high details without having the system performance affected by the fact that you're streaming as well. Now, being that's two systems, that means twice the space taken up, but there are a few cases that support two PCs in one unit, so that obviously saves a lot of space, and then you're going to need something like this to be able to power them, so it's all in one nice compact package. So the Revolt X from Phanteks is available in two sizes. There's a 1000 watt, which is what we've got here, and also a 1200 watt. And the Revolt X has actually been made with Seasonic, so a really great reputable brand that is already well known in the industry. I think it's more common in the US than the UK, but they do make absolutely amazing products. So, you know, the fact that they're using Seasonic in this power supply means you're going to get great quality from it. So some things to note right out of the gate: it weighs an absolute ton, but it is going to weigh more because obviously there's more components in it to be able to power two systems. It's 80 plus platinum and you get 12 years warranty, which is absolutely insane. I think generally the standard is now about 8 years, so 12 is, you know, ridiculous. So here we've got the power two systems that I said about. For example, if you're using a case that can support two systems, you might have an ATX motherboard or a standard gaming system that you're using already that you could transplant into that, and then maybe add your streaming system later in the bottom. So you can still use this just as a normal power supply, and then you can add the extra system in later on. So it doesn't mean that you have to power two systems from it, you can just use it as one. So being that it supports two systems, we're going to see multiple with some cables, so two 24 pins and then two 4+4 or the 8 pins. You're going to need a 24 and an 8 for any motherboard, so obviously you're going to need two lots of those. Then you've got another additional 8 or 4+4, so some motherboards will take two. So for example, Z690 is using a lot of double 8 pins, but you do have enough to actually have the additional system as well, so you've got enough to cover all of your bases. Then you've got all your PCI connectors, so you've got 4 of those, which will obviously cover your graphics card in your main system. And then you've got 4 SATA cables, which have 4 connectors on each. Then 1 Molex with 3 connectors, and then you've got obviously the mains power cable. So let's open this up and take a look at the behemoth within. I'll also add on the screen all the information about the different rails as well for anyone that wants to know specifics. So opening it up, we have a nice little bag with some bits and bobs. So we've got some normal cable ties on the back. We've got some Velcro Phanteks branded ones. Very nice. A case badge with an adhesive backing. Our power supply screws, and then a nice manual and a quick start guide. Quite detailed, obviously multilingual as well. So we've got our power cable. Obviously this will change depending on what region you're in, but I'm using the UK, so UK plug. Massive bag of cables. Obviously this is going to support two PCs, so that's why it's just an absolute hench bag of bits and bobs, but we'll look at that in a minute. And then the power supply itself, nice little fabric bag over it as well. Here is the Revolt X. On the top it's got kind of like a chamfered edge, kind of slopes in from one side. It's a nice design though. Silver's nice as well, breaks it up from the just standard black that we generally see. On the back we've got our power connector, our power switch, and then a hybrid button, so it will turn off the fan if it's not under heavy use. Keep things nice and quiet. Revolt X 1000 on the side and the same on the other, so whichever way it's in your case you're going to see the logo. And here is where it gets interesting. So as you can see, system 1 motherboard, we've got our CPU 1 and 2, and then we've got all our PCIe and then Molex here. But what if you want to add another system? Then we'll just pull off these little rubber bits, and this will give you our additional connectors. That just looks absolutely nuts. Now this amount of connectors you generally see on power supplies that are upwards of 1200 watts, but being this supports 2, that's why you got the extras. But it's, yeah, a pretty rare thing to see that amount of connectors on the power supply. So let's put this over while we look in our bag of tricks. This is just absolute chaos. Let's just tip them out. Cables for days. So here are all our cables. We've got our 24 pins, our 4+4 or 8 pins, Rolex, SATA, and then our PCIe. Another thing that's not on the box, but is actually stated on the website, is that the cables are different lengths. You can actually tell just by how they're bunched that this one's smaller than this one. Reason for that being is if you're going to go from a power supply that's mounted in the basement of a case up to where your normal ATX motherboard would be for your 24 pin, it's a much longer route from there to there than having your dual system case where the system's on the other side of the power supply. So it's obviously a much shorter run going just around a little corner than up to where a standard motherboard 24 pin would be. And another example, the 4+4, the 8 pins for the CPU are going to be a lot longer for the ATX or the first system than the secondary mini system in the bottom of the case. The PCIe cables all seem to be the same length as well, but typically the second system is not going to be running a graphics card anyway. You're more likely to use a capture card in that slot, so these are going to be the same length. But then again, you've not got such an extreme reach needed like you have with an 8 pin on an ATX motherboard anyway. Now, dual PC of course isn't for everyone. It does cost a lot more than running a single system, but we're in a graphics card shortage where finding a high-end card that can power everything off one is really difficult. So I will add some links for this stuff down below if you want to check out any of the Revolt X's. Big thank you to Overclockers for sending this out for me to look at. Stay tuned for the project as well that I'm going to be doing with this. Really looking forward to sharing that with you guys. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and do the bell so you don't miss a video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.